Carrie, the newest Dark Hero, is upon us, so play my intro, let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dome. I see you guys just flooding in. Don't worry guys, we have enough seats. Make sure you grab your drinks. I got coffee with me today, but let's talk about the newest Dark Hero, Carrie.
Carrier has arrived.
Now, this is not a breakdown of the Chinese New Year events that'll be heading our way momentarily. Instead, this video is going to purely focus on Carrie. Now, with that being said, be mindful that everything didn't make it into the video. For all of you guys returning to my channel, you guys know how complex these videos can get. So we're going to tackle Carrie in 3 separate chapters. First, we're going to talk about her skill sets. Second, her gear optimizations. And third, we're going to take her for a spin in combat. And finally, give you my first day score. Now, this video would not be possible today without the support of the squad. I took a day off work today, and I want to thank the Patreon squad and the 2 newest members, JM as well as Ryan, for committing to the Patreon army. You guys in return are helping me so much by putting food on the table and all of that stuff. So thank you so much, and let's go. Alright, so this is the 10-star form of Carrie, and I just want to talk about her base stats. She is a ranger, and she has 1218 speed. That is a lot of speed, way more than I was expecting. And she does, well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about her passives. So if you're new to my channel, this is how I do things. I go backwards from the last passive, and if you're new, consider subscribing to your boy as well. So let's go. We have the Shadow Spirit, and it is a passive skill, right? She has 3 passive skills. You guys know the drill. And when Carrie dies, she will become a shadowy spirit for 4 rounds and gets 1 layer of spirit power per round. And whenever a hero on the battlefield dies, allies or opponents, she'll get 1 extra layer of spirit power, so that brings her back to life quicker. And as I predicted in the spoilers video, I was right for the first time. You know, she comes back to life. That's crazy. Carrie is the small little girl, and she has the big muscles to back her up. She's got the firepower and her protector. Like, who's that guy? The brain guy in the Ninja Turtles. He has that bodysuit and all those animes and movies and games with the small guy and the big guy concepts. So the big guy comes into play when Carrie is down. So the Shadow Spirit, when the round ends, deals damage against the enemy with the lowest HP by 50% of its lost HP. And if you don't know what lost HP is, that is just true damage. It goes right through armor as well as damage reduced. And if a hero has 30% health left, they have lost 70% HP. That's lost HP pretty much. And so what the Shadowy Spirit does is, from the 70% of the lost HP, he taxes it by 50%, takes 50% of that, and this is capped by her attack by 1500%. And the coolest part is that after the 4 layers, Carrie will come back and revive with 100% HP and energy as well. But as you'll see later, this is kind of funny. She comes back to life with 100 points of energy, and if your opponent has a Carrie as well and does their active skill on your Carrie and places that devouring mark, which we'll talk about soon, then Carrie pretty much can get shut down by being resurrected with 100 points of energy. And the second passive, basic attack, targets 1 random enemy and deals 156% of attack damage, increasing them by 50 points of energy, and inflicts outbursts of magic effect to them. What is outburst of magic? It's just flavor text, and it shows you pretty much what it does. For every 1 point of energy the target has, it will receive 6% of attack damage, and its energy bar will be zeroed. So in simple man's terms, she does her basic attack against 1 dude in the opponent's team, and it's going to give them energy. You're not going to see this. It pretty much zeroes, completely removes their energy, and deals damage based on how much energy they lost, as well as the flat basic attack damage of 156% of her attack. So in simpler terms, when she does her basic attack, that hero gets their energy trashed. And this is very important, and I say this so that you don't forget it when we talk about her gearing. And her first passive, Darkness Befall, is just flat stat boosts attack by 25%, crowd control immunity by 30%. She has plus 60 speed, and that's why she has ridiculous amount of speed and has 40%. This is the cool part right here. 40% chance to hide into the void. And this basically just means that she dodges enemies' active skill or basic attack, not their passive damage, so she can dodge Gerudo's active skill. That's crazy. And if she does dodge the basic and active skills, she's not going to get CC'd as well from the active and basic attacks. So if Carrie dodges Tara's basic attack or active skill, then she will not be sealed. However, she can still be sealed from Tara's third passive. And in brackets, the game is reminding us that monsters' attack cannot be dodged. Now, her active skill deals 220% of attack damage against 4 random enemies. That's a good spread right there. And causes energy oscillation. And there's a comma right there. That's important. And has a 70% chance to inflict a devouring mark. I'm just going to call it DM to the targets. So let's talk about the EO, the energy oscillation first. So this EO is not a CC effect. It's not like a debuff or anything. You cannot prevent it pretty much. When the active lands on 4 random enemies, she's going to deal damage based on how much energy they have. And separately, she has that 70% chance to place a DM. And this is like a swirly void purple thing under the heroes. You can easily see it. And basically the hero affected by this, once they reach 100 energy, whether they do their basic attack or they get hit often and they reach 100 energy, they're going to lose all of that. Not only will this remove all their energy, but they'll receive damage, 10% of attack for every point of energy times 100. Now you may be thinking, wow, she is OP in PVE and PvP. On paper, she sounds nasty, but let's upgrade our tools and let's dive a little bit deeper. So in general, this is where you gotta focus. You gotta stop munching on your snacks. I'm sorry to do it, guys, but this is where it gets really important. And first of all, in general, Purify removes Devouring Mark. So that means that Devouring Mark is classified as a debuff. Now hold on a second here. Just because Purify can remove it does not mean Devouring Mark is useless. First of all, there are a lot of debuffs. And secondly, depending on how well you build your carry, that Devouring Mark will just detonate very quickly, usually before the round even ends. So don't panic. Besides that, Devouring Mark is not considered a crowd control effect. It works on PVE bosses. That is awesome. I'll showcase that soon. But just keep that in mind. It works all across the board. CC immunity does not have anything to do with the Devouring Mark. It's awesome. It works on MIM, PVE bosses, all of that stuff. And the last thing I want to address in general, and everything I'm telling you right now, and everything in this video I have tested over and over again. I have just 14 video files with labels and everything all recorded. So when Carrie dodges an active skill or basic attack, she does not gain any energy. Well, that sounds fair. She's not taking any damage, so she's not gaining any energy. So yes, there's a little trade-off, but dodging an active skill or CC, that's amazing. And sure, it will be nice if she still gained energy while dodging so that she can do more active skills, but I think that's a little bit too strong. Yeah. Now, if your Belrain does her basic attack to Carrie and Carrie dodges it, does that make Belrain not heal with her basic attack? No, it still heals. Alright, let's talk about her relationship with Amun-Ra. And the reason why I'm talking about Amun-Ra is because how powerful she is and how important she is in today's meta. Now, her active skill has that Guardian Shadow, that protective layer of awesomeness. And when you look at Carrie's active skill, there are so many different things going on and so many different types of damage. So you're pretty much thinking, Carrie's active skill should go through 2 layers of Guardian Shadow or consumes both of them. However, it only eats 1 layer of Amun-Ra's Guardian Shadow with her active skill. That is why, which we'll discuss in the next chapter, going before Amun-Ra's active skill is very important. So Carrie's active skill will remove 1 layer of Guardian Shadow, and the energy oscillation damage will just do 1 damage. And Amun-Ra will still have 1 more layer to get through. Alright, so let's talk about Carrie's relationship with Tara. So if you look at Tara's last passive, his third passive, if Carrie is sealed by Tara, what happens? Does she not resurrect? Does the Shadow Spirit just poof, go away? No. So of course I tested everything out. She still turns into Shadow Spirit, and Shadow Spirit cannot be sealed or anything like that, so pretty much her last passive works. It's like the Seal of Light never was there in the first place. Okay, that's cool, that's OP. And what about her second passive, her basic attack? Does she still remove all their energy and deal damage even if she's sealed? And the answer is yes. Okay, that's strong. And everything in her active skill works against Tara, whether she is sealed or not. So pretty much, he's like, who's Tara? What does he do? But guys, don't get me wrong, Tara still whoops butt, as you'll see later on, deals a lot of damage with that new artifact, which we'll talk about in a completely separate video. And of course, Tara does extra damage against Carrie, and Carrie also as well, but we'll talk about that momentarily, because Carrie, her damage is handicapped. We'll talk about it. So if you didn't understand what the hell I was saying, Carrie functions well, whether sealed or not. Now, against Unimax, she has to deal with Unimax on her own. If she's taunted, then everything goes to Unimax. And if she dies and turns into the shadowy spirit, then taunts off her anyways. And Gustin is Gustin. Gustin removes debuffs. But like I said, guys, Devouring Mark happens just so fast. But I see less Devouring Marks going off if there is a Gustin in a team. And Devouring Mark is the only relationship Gustin has with Carrie. Her energy oscillation as well as her basic attack will just go right through anyways. As long as they have energy, she's going to punish them. Now, before I keep talking about my test results, what do you guys think is her best stone and artifact for pure damage in PvE? Well, why don't we do this step by step, folks? So let's see here, guys. I got the attack stone in like 1 or 2 rerolls, so I just stuck with attack stone, and it was enough to find out what I needed to know. I have other accounts with double carries and other accounts on iOS and Android devices with different stones. I've tried all of them. So let's talk about just the artifacts, and this will explain everything. And the reason I love having 2 accounts on one server to test is to keep everything consistent and same. The controls are same. So the first test, Carrie has the attack stone all across the board. She's going to have attack stone. That's not going to change. The only thing that changes here is her artifact. Now we have the first test with the Kiss of Ghost versus the Augustus Magic Ball. The only difference between the two is 100% armor break versus no armor break. They both have 25% attack. So what happens with her basic attack? She deals roughly 3 million damage, and her active skill is 2.47 million damage. Now, if you're wondering why she's doing less with her active skill, that all depends on the opponent's energy level. Her basic attack cannot crit or be blocked because I need to keep everything consistent in terms of watching Carrie's damage as well as your opponent's energy level. Now, the second rule is that when the opponent attacks, Carrie must dodge so that Carrie doesn't in turn gain additional energy to do a bigger active skill. So Carrie does her active skill and she must place a Devouring Mark for the third test. Now let's move on to the Augustus Magic Ball. How much was her basic attack? 2.78 million, and her active skill was 2.13 million. So the Kiss of Ghost is winning here, of course, with the 100% armor break. So what about the Antler's Cane? It was 2.86 million for her basic attack, and her active skill was 2.4 million. So the clear winner here, without talking about the energy oscillation or the Devouring Mark damage, is going to be the Kiss of Ghost. Armor break is going to be the best. However, I mentioned earlier about the third test, the Devouring Mark damage. Now, all across the board, because of the consistency, we are seeing 4.779 million damage. Whether you have the Kiss of Ghost, the Antler's Cane, or the Augustus Magic Ball. So what that means is that it doesn't matter if you have armor break, armor reduce, skill damage, or precision, holy damage, none of that matters. It's just going to deal true percent attack damage. What the heck? And this is why I gotta turn into a little raging monster. I gotta rant a little bit here. Yes, I understand that she deals damage based on how much energy is being reduced, right? So from 100 energy down to 0, I get that there is a cap right there, but we should be able to increase the percent of attack damage, no? What do you guys think? We've always been able to do this outside of the true HP, percent of HP damage, right? So on paper, this sounds like it's supposed to work like that. But as I'm about to show you in PvE, it doesn't work like that whatsoever. The only thing that increases this damage, the only thing that increases Devouring Mark or energy oscillation damage is her attack. And this also ignores the second rule of percent of attack based damage, that it is affected by armor as well as damage reduced. However, here, this is not affected by armor. You can try this yourself like I did. You can fight against Belrain or Asmodel with Fearless Armor, without Fearless Armor. Devouring Mark damage point for point of energy is going to deal the same amount of damage, meaning armor break, armor reduce, damage reduce, all of that stuff is useless. You cannot reduce this damage or increase it. So this is quite weird because percent of attack damage is supposed to be buffed by, holy damage or armor break, armor reduce. So in PvE, due to this fact, she deals dog crap damage in PvE. Honestly put, so you're not going to see any crazy numbers in the Flame Shrine bosses. So guys, if you're listening to this, if you're still here, make sure you send the feedback, because this is not cool for free-to-play players or anybody who has saved heroic scrolls expecting this hero to be awesome in PvE as well. I mean, I'm not even talking decent, I'm talking like almost pretty bottom of the tier in PvE. So if you were expecting this, like on paper, this hero looks crazy good in PvE as well, and you already heard me saying that Carrie can reduce bosses' energy down to 0, that sounds really good. However, point for point, the energy reduction turning into damage, it's not being buffed appropriately or mitigated appropriately. It goes right through freaking armor and damage reduce. And because it is not being affected by Heart Watcher's mark or Cruz's weakened debuffs, it's just sad in PvE. And me having tested this and knowing this is why I make videos. And so if you're still listening, send them a feedback to just change this. They don't even have to change the text. All they have to do is flip on a light switch. That's it. Let them know that this should be affected. I mean, it is percent of attack, so it should follow the same rules as it has for the last 3 years. I hope DH Games, they're watching this, and hopefully they fix this, hotfix it. That would be great. I mean, it'll be better if they just tested it better before release. I want you guys to share this video so that everyone knows the truth about Carrie, so they're not robbed. I mean, you gotta know the truth before you build things. Like, I accept it. I accept the fact that she is sucking right now against the bosses in terms of damage, so I'm still going to build her, and hopefully it gets hotfixed and, everything goes back to happiness. So her best stat against PvE bosses, it's going to be armor break or armor reduce, unless of course you have Sigmund, then it's going to be holy damage. But right now you should not be building her for PvE unless she is hotfixed, hopefully soon. Just don't build her for PvE. There are plenty of other heroes. Now, what about PvP? There are 2 builds in PvP. She just needs to go fast. Speed stone, speed stone, speed stone, all the way. Now, should you get the speed attack stone or speed HP? That depends on how squishy your team is overall and how squishy Carrie is. If you have issues surviving, opt for the HP and speed stone. Now for her enables, you don't have to go with the speed enables. Even with the attack enables, she'll be faster. If you're facing against opponents without Unimax, a speed Unimax, then you can drop your speed enables, go with the attack, not that one. The attack enables here and here. Just watch your speed. Just make sure she is faster than your opponents. However, you're not going to outspeed Ada with her energy artifact. However, if she's in the backline, you can stop her with Unimax's taunt. But with Carrie, with Speedstone and energy artifact, you're going to go after Ada, and that's fine. Because that is why I mentioned 2 builds. One with the energy artifact, one with a speed artifact. Carrie is a very good counterplay hero in the endgame PvP meta. So yes, your team does matter, but it really depends on your opponent's team. If their speed Unimax and their speed and energy artifact Ada is bothering you, then you can make your Carrie into a speed build. Speedstone with the speed artifact. She does not need a new artifact because none of her abilities are considered CC. She just needs the Augustus Magic Ball or another free-to-play variant. So with this, she's going to be super fast. In today's meta, she's going to go before an energy artifact speed Ada, and if she does land her basic attack on that Ada is not going to do her active skill, which means that your team will not get blanketed by Balanced Mark. And if she does her basic attack against a speed stone and speed artifact Unimax, she will also rob him of his energy and he will not be able to do his thing, which is to taunt. And if Unimax is not taunting, he is freaking useless. So right there was an example of how to build her against your opponent's team. Both builds are important, and having both separate builds in PvP is awesome if you can afford 2 carries, because that's what I'm going to talk about next. What happens if you bring 2 carries? Having 2 carries is of course going to be good because you're going to spread more devouring marks. The cool part about devouring marks is resetting their energy back to 0, not just dealing damage. But as I mentioned earlier, because of how fast devouring marks are being consumed, if you spread out your carries, like one with energy artifact and one with a speed artifact, then you're going to cover more grounds and you're not going to have this issue of overlapping. And having one with speed artifact, as I mentioned, is a counterplay to these energy artifact Adas with speed stones and speed Unimax. And what about Garuda? How do you shut down Garuda in today's meta? Two ways. One, remove her energy. And Carrie does that well. If Garuda is not doing her active skill, she's not doing that much damage. And number two is, of course, crowd control. And that's why we have Unimax as well as Tara, who are going to be major factors against Garudas. So there you have it, folks. 3 heroes that pretty much bothers Garuda a lot. She's still powerful, but we'll have to see what happens now. And last but not least, don't forget about Amun-Ra. Make sure you set up your Carrie to go before Amun-Ra's active skill to prevent not only the Guardian Shadow going off, but also reducing her energy down if you can get the Devouring Mark on her. And that's gonna be one angry and sad Amun-Ra. So overall, what do I think? Overall, visually, she looks awesome. I love her skin. The big bad wolf and the little Red Riding Hood. I love that. I love her visually. I love the new concept. She dies and her spirit takes over, her guardian takes over, and she comes back to life. Pretty much she can never die unless your team gets wiped out. I like that. And of course, her utility of removing energy and being so efficient, zeroing it is huge. Just reducing energy by 30. Remember the old days when I reviewed Dark Arthindal, how it wasn't enough and how people can regain the energy quickly just by taking damage. But with Carrie, we got that issue solved a little bit better. So I love that about Carrie. She is good at doing her job, which is to reduce energy back to 0. Not only that, she punishes them with just insane damage in PvP because you're not waiting around for, Heart Watcher's marks. However, in PvE, that thing is not being affected by the stats that are supposed to affect percent of attack stats. And I think that needs to be changed because people have, I'm not talking about just spenders. People are going to spend, get their scrolls. But for those people, I'm standing up for those that are not high spenders. But I'm just standing up for everybody here because everybody would benefit. But for those that have not spent and saved and saved and saved, and they knew that the Chinese New Year is going to be one of the best events for this game, they have saved for an entire year for 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 scrolls, and they just went all in without watching this guide.
Let's do this. Zero!
So in PvP, she's really good. She is that counterplay hero, that awesome, just, it's like, putting jam on toast. It just, oh man, just brings it to life. But in PvE, other than her utility of reducing energy, there's not much going on. I'd rather just have Amun-Ra in there or something. So that's my initial impressions and all the details. I'm exhausted, but that's it, guys. Hopefully you got everything you needed. Just sucked out of me. And with this, guys, use this as a pitchfork or a weapon, and just let's page the developers about this. Like, I feel really bad for people who have saved. Listen to the advice of people on Reddit and everywhere, not just Reddit, everywhere. Just save. Chinese New Year is going to be awesome. It's the biggest holiday in China and for DH games, and the hero is going to be a dark hero. Dark hero is going to be great. And yes, not every hero is going to be great in both PvP and PvE. I accept that, but her lack of power in PvE damage is just astounding. And it's not supposed to work like this. Why are we having these exceptions and barriers? Just throw a bone for those free-to-play people that have saved and wanted a decent PvE hero. It doesn't have to be broken. It doesn't have to be a Garuda 2.0 in PvE, but come on, man, like averaging 200 or 300 million damage and having a capped damage, you cannot increase it by any means. Except for that 156% of her basic attack and the 220 from her active skill. Outside of that, we cannot influence anything else. So, everybody, squad members, get this out there, spread the words. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and comment down below to make it go viral in idle heroes. And let's keep idling here and see if they do change it. If they don't, whatever. I'll talk about the events next. I'll see you guys then. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and waiting for this video. Thank you so much for your support. Once again, your boy Zeals out.